only 10% of leaders in this country retire and still lead a meaningful life because, most of the leaders, they don't plan beyond their careers. And then they find themselves either consulting back to the business or just messing up their lives.
Yes.
What for you makes leaders get stuck?
I actually think a lot of business leaders need to stop reading books.
Okay.
Because they already have all the information, right? So I think the thing that's getting people stuck is they know a lot about doing their work, but they don't apply what they know to their own careers. I think a composite or constellation or an integrated life
Yes.
is
Hi there, and welcome to Sithembiso Phakathi podcast series. And this season, we're talking about all kinds of leadership stuff, including culture, including executive coaching, as well as and how businesses build thriving cultures. And I'm with my friend and someone that I bounce ideas with a lot, and she's recently launched her recent book. Miss Nyasha P.
Nyasha P.
Mapolisa. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Great. And in this weather, I hope you are now warm, because when you came here, you were a bit chilly, right?
Yeah, look, warmth. I think I'm warm inside, so
Warm
that's
inside.
That should warm, as the conversation
It's
goes.
nice, yeah. I want to start with introducing you in this kind of way. You have transitioned from corporate life how long ago now? And then you've done great things since you left the formal employment, and now you've created your enterprise. Tell us a little bit about when that happened.
Okay. Well, firstly, hello everybody, and Sithembiso, thanks a lot for
Yes.
this opportunity. It's really a privilege, and I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Yeah.
When you talk about transitioning or pivoting and
Yes.
pushing through, I think I officially, and I'll say officially,
Yes.
pivoted last year, May.
Last year, May. That's quite recent.
Which is almost a year, right?
Yes.
And it's been an exciting, nerve-wracking, transformational year.
I can imagine.
So what am I doing now? I've got my own business.
Sure.
It's called Bachelor Coaching and Consulting.
Yeah.
And as you've said, I have published my first book.
Sure.
Of many. I feel we all have lots of books in
Of
us,
course.
yeah?
Of course.
And this book, I think, was bursting to come forth. I published it in February on my birthday, on my
Yes.
42nd birthday,
Yes.
which is also significant because in psychology, developmental psychology,
Yes.
they say you transition into proper adulthood at 42. That's like
Oh, is that so?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So I'm hoping
I'm
that's
long overdue.
You're long overdue. I think you've already
I'm joking.
done it. I think you've
I'm
done it.
joking. I've done it. Yeah.
Awesome.
I was 36 when I found my papers. I thought it was late, but it happened.
36.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. I want us to talk about this, and I'm going to delve a little bit later into your book. Your book challenges the idea of performance and guarantees around progression. Why do so many leaders still believe hard work is enough at senior level?
Look, I think meritocracy, right,
Yes.
I think it's a comfortable concept because then you know what you do and
Yes.
then what you get,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And it's also, it works at junior levels. You sell 10 policies and you get your commission.
And it's all about KPIs.
It's about
targets.
KPIs. And the KPIs are quite specific,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then you get into the messy middle. And it still seems like meritocracy will work because actually when you're being evaluated, they still use words like strong performance, right?
Yes.
You're shooting the lights out, your numbers look good.
Yes.
So there is a little bit of a reinforcement within the corporate speak.
Yes.
But then you start to also be told executive presence.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to be able to have a bit more gravitas.
Yes.
And that's where now it starts to become a little bit complicated. And I would also say sometimes it's about language, right?
Language, okay.
Yes. So if you are a Black person and you've never heard a word like gravitas or presence,
Yeah.
or you need to be more diplomatic, you just think it's just another doing something.
Yes, yes.
But you don't understand that that's actually now requiring you to unlearn and step into your individual,
Yeah.
so that you can bring something across to you.
You talk about gravitas, and you and I have talked about this before. A lot of leaders that we work with have been promoted based on their business knowledge, technical expertise, and tangible KPIs. What should leaders do to try and develop their softer skills? Because sometimes people and leadership skills are just as important in leadership.
I can talk about what I had to do.
Sure.
I think I created a personal board of directors. What does that mean?
Okay.
It means somebody who, I mean, you don't only have one person.
Yes, yes.
You have a board that
Yeah.
helps you to understand what is required. And I think the core of it is understanding who you are
Yes.
and what your purpose is.
Yes.
And I know a lot of people use that word purpose, but there is something that sits well within your belly, and you know it when you're experiencing it. It's when you're talking and you feel like, yeah, I'm really, really, on my full self here.
Yes.
So how would you learn that?
Yeah.
Some people, when they're young, they go to a doctor's office,
Yeah.
and after that they say, I want to be a doctor.
Yes.
And then they become a doctor. Then they specialize as doctors. Then they subspecialize and add, right?
It just carries on. Yeah.
Yeah. So some people are like that. That's their life path.
Yes.
And then there's the rest of us, right? The ones who are good at geography, physics, maths, Shona, literature,
Specialization.
and right? You're generalists. You've got a broad spectrum of what you're good at.
Yeah.
And the natural inclination then is, as I experience, is be a doctor if you're good at sciences,
Yes.
lawyer if you're good at, kind of language
Yeah.
and.
Yeah.
But then what starts to happen then is you become into that senior level.
Yes.
You kind of need to know yourself a little bit more,
It's about self-awareness.
self-awareness.
But tell us how you transitioned yourself, how you transitioned from those formal organizational systems to finding your purpose. How did that happen?
So
Or what
back to my
inspired?
board. So the first board was the identity stuff, right?
Sure.
Finding my purpose.
Yeah.
And there's three aspects. There's healing stuff.
Yeah.
There's wholeness stuff. That's,
Wholeness. Yes.
and then there's the transcendent stuff, or
Yes.
holiness, if you're into spiritual dimension.
Sure.
So the people who helped me with the healing stuff. I have been to psychologists. I have had a counselor for quite a bit who was helping me unpack some of the things that were holding me back, which I only found out were holding me back by going through that process.
Wow.
There were things that I was uneasy about. There were things that I assumed. And I would step into a room and I would feel a little bit unsettled. And I wouldn't know why. And then through, the counseling and coming up with all the things that were sitting in my subconscious, she calls it a filing cabinet.
Filing cabinet.
Yeah, so I opened that filing
So you had
cabinet.
to unpack.
Yes, and I found out some interesting stuff about, my own upbringing, my own sense of self and identity, my place of birth, and.
Yes.
So I would say the healing was mostly there.
Yes.
Then in terms of the wholeness, which is, a little bit about intellectual, but also about honing your skills.
Yes.
I did an MBA, and now I'm currently doing a doctoral program at Warwick Business School.
Business school, yes.
All of that to really, really start to understand what business is about, because I was coming from an actuarial background,
yes.
right? I also employed a coach. I've had a coach for years
You
and
were
years.
mentioning that to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I've got many coaches. Some I pay. Some I've got the privilege that I went to school with. In 2017, I did a coaching program with University of Stellenbosch.
Yeah.
And I met some really, really great people. And from time to time, when I need, to understand
Of
certain
course.
things and improve my wholeness,
Yes.
I go there. Be it well-being, be it management and leadership kind of competencies or
Yes.
skills.
Yes.
Yeah, so they've helped me there. The holiness bit, yeah, that's a longer story. But I think let's end it here.
No, it's fine. We're gonna come back to your healing journey because I think our viewers can learn one or two things from that story, because you and I have engaged on it, and I also want to learn from it, because sometimes finding ourselves sometimes means going through a lot of stuff that is going to help us dig inside and understand exactly what's there. I want to talk about, now that you've gone through this healing process, how did it come about that you land on this idea that this is the work that you want to do for the rest of your life, helping other organizations? It's just beyond the book, but also building other leaders. How was that revealed to you? And maybe take us through that process.
Okay. I think the simple thing is a lot of people have been telling me ever since I was a child.
Okay.
And actually, I think that's one key, on that personal board of directors. Ask your friends, your best friends.
Best friends, yes.
Your, the community people to describe you. And they'll tell you, oh, Nyasha, you always do X, So for me, I've always wanted to be in the company of leaders, honing my own skills and influencing them.
Yeah.
And I think I also got I was privileged in a couple of ways. I went to an all-girls school, and our headmaster, he was called DV, which is Dediwedu, right? Our father. He treated us like, he used to call us his girls, and used to tell us, we're expansive, you're leading the world, you guys can do anything. So I got fed from there, right?
Oh, I see.
And then I also have got uncles and aunts who also just gave me platforms, And in there, that's where I started to see, look, I am interested in the leadership thing. I just don't know how
You didn't know how to unlock it, to harness
it.
Yes.
How do I do that?
Okay.
And I think one of the key in harnessing it, I did a coaching course, right? And then they started telling me about coaching. I was like, wow, this is what I needed. I struggled with mentorship, maybe because the way I think, I'm a constellation.
Sure.
I've got so many dimensions and interests. I mean, we talked about so many subjects that I did at school.
Yes.
And it was in the coaching where they said, actually, coach, trust that
Yes.
but maybe you just need somebody who can provide you with the space.
So you needed a guide, but the passion and the energy was already there. It was just, you talk about constellation careers and instead of linear careers, and maybe first explain the difference between the two and why constellation careers for you.
Okay. So I talked about the doctor, yeah?
Sure.
The one who, that's linear-ish, right? Yes. But I think AI is going to challenge that.
Okay.
I think they're going to need to be a bit more broader and maybe learn more human kind of skills.
Yes.
But then if you're a person who has got a wide range of interests and even expertise, the people who are good at everything, what happens then is you take a longer path to find the career, right? Okay. But then that career, you have to build it, right? So for me, my constellation is I started off in the medical field, and I said I didn't finish that degree.
Yes.
But what I knew is I wanted to impact people directly.
Yes.
But because I was also very strong at maths, I went and I did actuarial science.
Yes.
And actuarial science has got a purpose in that it says you give you peace of mind, right? By giving you solutions and products, which will allow you to sleep better at night, right? Should something happen to you.
Yes.
But there was a missing link, right? The direct connection between the human, where, a doctor, somebody comes into your room, they leave and they feel better. In actuarial science, yes, I'm designing the products, I'm running the numbers, I'm calculating the valuations. But in certain instances, I used to work for a much smaller part of the business.
Yes.
My numbers would be rounded off, right? When you look at them in the financial statements. And that just wasn't enough. I just felt like I want to know, I want to, eyeball the people that I impact. And
I see.
And then, as I said, when I did this coaching course, I was like, wow, okay. I think it's a natural thing for me. And actually, the person who was taking the course, she said to me, how did you learn how to coach? I'm like, I actually didn't even know something called coaching.
Yeah.
I was boisterous enough to apply to do an MPhil in coaching.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
Yes, but here's the interesting bit. MPhil in coaching, I did an actuarial degree. I did not do any psychology. But then what they said to me is like, the fact that you're really interested, maybe do a certificate in business coaching.
Yes.
It gives you 60 credits. At least then we can consider you for,
Oh, that's how it landed. Oh,
yes.
okay.
So then that's how now me as an executive coach, I kind of building that.
Yes.
And then when I started working more in the product space at Absa, I wanted to be in business.
Yes.
But there's a sense that, actuaries tend to be more technical and, they couldn't really trust that I could do the business thing. So I went and I did an MBA at Gibbs. And then I came back. I'm like, look, I've got the certificate that I know business. And serendipity was that my business was also going through a transformation.
The transformation. You were telling me as
yes, and they were setting up a new capability, which they call digital enablement. So fortunate for me, at that right time, I then managed to get into enterprise and people change. So that was another constellation. And then now, the constellation now, I think it's, I've got the nice bow around it, right, in my business, because I do strategy consulting.
Yes.
I do business and executive coaching. And then now that I've written a book, I get to talk to leaders like yourself who are really achieving quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I've also had the opportunity to speak at different platforms.
Yes. Congratulations on that. I see that's going very well for you. And well done.
It has been a serendipitous journey. And
it's work in progress, of course. All of us realize that, but well done so far.
Thank you. And that's the thing about a constellation, right? It's constantly evolving.
It's evolving.
But then I have a good sense of what the objective is. And I'll tell you what I'm about. I want to influence the comrade runners of business, which is the top leaders.
The top leaders.
The ones who feel their shoulders are heavy because they know they've got a sense of responsibility.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I feel that that's my space to influence them to also create that canvas, that support system so that they can also find their purpose.
And that's why coaching is very important, because like we said earlier, some leaders get to those levels, but they really don't understand who they are and what they stand for and their purpose as well. I want to come back to your book. You say that this book is not about working hard or working harder, because, and you say that it's about understanding when progression has stalled and when competence is no longer enough. Tell us how you can you advise leaders to understand when they need to pivot to who they really are and to pivot into their purpose, because sometimes that your purpose you don't find in your career.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend about the book.
Yes.
And I said, it's funny that I'm saying buy my book, but I actually think a lot of business leaders need to stop reading books.
Okay.
Because they already have all the information, right? But what I guess my book is trying to do is allowing this person to stop and pause.
Yes.
And take information into insights, then
insight.
Decision, and then action, right?
And then action. Yeah.
Yes. So I think when you read a book, you resonate with some stuff.
Sure.
And if you've been in leadership long enough, you've read and you've resonated with quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you just don't take the moment to sit.
Yes. And almost sit and process and sit with yourself and understand what am I about. So in other words, in the leaders I coach, I always ask, if I strip you of all your accolades, your achievements as a leader, the name on the door, the name on the parking lot, your secretary, what is left? So who are you without those things. That self-identity, self-awareness. Why is that for you and for the business leaders you coach is important? Because, and we were talking with Dando outside before the segment, and we were saying only 10% of leaders in this country retire and still lead a meaningful life, because most of the leaders, they don't plan beyond their careers. And then they find themselves either consulting back to the business or just messing up their lives.
Yes.
Because they haven't seen beyond their careers. And I spoke about this cake of life.
Cake
Of life. How do you slice it up in such a way that it's meaningful for you? So what would you say it's important for the leaders to understand the importance of self-identity?
Yeah, the identity. I think if you know yourself, then you know exactly what you need to do.
Okay.
Right? I think a lot of people say if you know your purpose, then you never work a day in your life.
Of course, yes. Yeah.
And I will say the past year has really been a testament to that, because when I am like having this kind of conversation, a couple of things are happening for me. One, I am honing my own skill. I'm getting to understand myself, right? I'm also speaking to an audience, right? And doing the influencing and speaking to the leaders I want to speak to.
Yeah.
I can also say, the questions you're asking me are forcing me to reflect on other things that I may not have reflected on.
Sure.
So once you find out what you are really, really here on this planet to do, and I think sometimes the clues are, as I said, what your friends, your community says, but also it's in your name. Do you know what my name means? My name means grace.
Grace, yeah.
Some mercy.
Okay.
And a lot of kind-heartedness.
Oh, wow.
So if I want to know the things I should invest in for me to become a better leader, I ask myself, am I being graceful?
Yeah.
Am I showing mercy? And
it comes from that. So there's a story behind your name, and you were telling me this outside.
Yes.
And you're trying to use that knowledge to showcase who you are and to share your purpose. I want to come to this because I made a note here. After coaching so many senior leaders for many years, what patterns are you seeing in the leaders, those that are getting stuck? What patterns are you saying that keep them stuck and keep them there instead of moving into greater things, and also almost that want to hoard that business space and not want to move on to great things? And I found that a lot with the leaders I coach, that sometimes they get satisfied with where they are, and it creates complacency and it creates comfort. What for you makes leaders get stuck?
So, look, I think there are some people who are fortunate that their sense of self or their purpose is not big. I think if you're, if you're, as I said, if your shoulders are feeling heavy, you've got no option but to do the work, right? But one thing I found is very interesting is that there is this separatedness between the work I do and the models, and if you're a CEO, you have a board of directors.
Yes.
You know, and you rely on that board in order for you to perform as a CEO. I've just published an article to say you are the CEO of your life.
Of your life, yes.
Who governs your board, right?
Exactly.
Which is, back to that, they've got all the knowledge and information.
Yes.
It's just that they're not translating it into their own personal
into meaningful life,
right?
Yes.
Because if you know that the board helps directing you, right? You need a board member who knows about finance, right? So that the company can perform well financially.
Yes.
You need a board member who understands, or even have committees to do with the people.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You do, development.
Yes.
Do you have that board that can help you navigate? So I think the thing that's getting people stuck is they know a lot about doing their work, but they don't apply what they know to their
Yes,
own
to their-
careers. I think a composite or constellation or an integrated life
Yes.
is where you do exactly the thing that only you can do
Yeah.
and you should do.
And you should do it.
Yes.
And specialize it and scale it.
Yes.
And stick with it.
Yes.
I want to ask you this. You introduce a framework called Care Align Ask.
Yes.
And I like this. And I think I quizzed you on it at some point during our casual discussion. And this is about self-awareness, alignment, and actually asking, what do I want? Tell us a little bit about this framework and how you use it in your coaching.
Awesome. So I remember you said, what should people do? The first thing is they must just sit, as we said.
Yes.
And care is about understanding who you are, the identity that we talked about,
Yes.
your purpose, your mission, and
Yes.
it is hard work, right?
Very
but it's
much
worthwhile
so.
work.
It's worth it.
Yes, because once you do that work very well, the second part is alignment. I always say, if you look at, people are always pointing fingers, right? But then 4 is pointing right back at you. Care says first follow the 4 fingers, which is about you, your internal self.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
And then you follow the other finger, right?
Yes.
If you're in an organizational context, that's about understanding what that organization is about. Right?
Okay.
And then you say, okay, this organization is going there. These are their values. This is their mission. Does it align with what my purpose is?
Yes, that's the ask part.
No, that's the alignment.
That's the alignment part.
Because now
okay.
if you know, then you know what you need to ask.
Then you need to know, okay.
But then sometimes the first person you have to ask something of is yourself.
It's yourself.
You talked about pivoting, right?
Yes.
So pivoting is when you have done the alignment and you see, yes, there is no alignment.
There's a
The
tangent.
organization is going this direction.
Yes.
And my sense of purpose is going that direction.
Yes.
So then what do you do? Yeah?
Yeah. How do you fall back on the tracks and make sure that you still unlock that human value?
Yeah, and people ask me, how do I know whether this is a pivot or a push kind of thing? I say, if it's still here in your head and you've got a lot of questions and that's about pushing through. Pivoting.
And that's not sustainable. Pivoting is more personal, would you say?
So that's what I was about to say. That's the one that sits in your,
that sits in
you
your
understand, the below the belt kind of stuff,
Yeah.
where you have to do a little bit more work. And as I said, whether pushing through or pivoting, it's not right or wrong. What it is, can you be conscious?
But is it a choice? Is it pushing through? Is it a choice or is it circumstantial? Because I think pivoting could also be. I think it's a personal choice. But what about pushing through?
I think both are personal
Both are
choices,
personal
if
choices,
you've done the work, right?
Okay.
Pivoting, for example, is only necessary if there is misalignment.
Oh, okay.
So let's use leaders, for example, who you've been performing and you've been acting in a position,
Yes.
right? And it happens quite a lot.
Yes.
Then you have the conversation. Now you're asking, right? You've seen actually in terms of where the company is going, the direction, and I think we are aligned.
Yes.
You have the conversation and they tell you something that's tangible.
Yes.
Like, Nyasha, you need to work on maybe how you present yourself. You need to work on stakeholder relationships and that's tangible. And if you were to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in the next cycle, we will promote you.
Yes.
Don't pivot at that point.
Ah, okay.
Right?
So that's very good.
Because you are leaving value on the table.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
So then you push through. Right? Pushing through is about transforming also, because if there is stakeholder management you need to learn, maybe there's a part of you that you also need to unlearn.
You need to unlearn, yeah.
Pivoting on the other end, I mean, if they're telling you, for example, like now in AI, it can be very clear that the organization wants to now become digital.
Okay.
But then you feel, actually, no, my purpose, it really is about the legacy kind of stuff.
Yes.
The ones that still is about face-to-face, about
or building leaders, or
you understand,
or uncovering talent, or promoting talent, or whatever.
Right.
But outside of the engineering or technological stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So then in that instance, you have to pivot. But remember, pivoting requires a bit of grief.
Yes. Yeah.
You have to mourn the
You have
leader.
to go through the process.
You understand? Because you could have seen yourself being in this organization for 40 years, right?
Yeah.
And now you're at a precipice where you kind of have to let go of that, and then start understanding the new self. It's very, very scary, I must admit.
It's
and
very tough. Let's go back to your framework now. Let's move on to the ask part.
Yes.
Okay.
So the ask now, let's say it is in a pivot moment.
Yes.
The first person you have to ask yourself is, am I ready to make the pivot?
Right. So it's about testing the readiness.
Yes. And
yes.
What I also say, it is possible that there's a misalignment in terms of your specific objective.
Yes.
But I'll give an example. Maybe your health is not so well.
Okay.
Your sense of purpose is big, but your health is not.
Yeah.
So it's not the right time
other
for you.
fundamentals that will affect.
Yes.
So you can't jump at that point. You can't choose at that point.
Yes.
Yeah.
So at the end of the book, what I talk about is the outcomes that can happen. So you ask, right?
Yes.
Let's say you ask your organization or your immediate manager. You ask them, okay, I want to be promoted, right? They can say, definitely, Nyasha, I think, if you're in an acting position, you've demonstrated it. We're just taking the time to make sure that all the things are done. That's perfect.
Yeah.
But if you don't ask, they may just continue giving you an acting position.
Yes.
That's why asking is still important. But they could tell you not yet.
It's not.
But not yet it can mean a couple of things.
It doesn't close the door.
I was thinking about it. It's like when a child comes to you and you say to them, I'll buy you a sweet tomorrow, right? It's either you really, really mean it, you are going to buy them a sweet tomorrow, or you're going to say tomorrow, I'll buy you a sweet tomorrow.
Next day.
So not yet can be like that. Yeah. It can be a no because maybe the language or the culture
way of saying no.
The culture in the organization is such that they think she's gonna figure it out, right?
Eventually.
So also be discerning, because sometimes they can say not yet when actually you see the writings on the wall. But a not yet way, as I said, there's a clear plan. Do the work. But the not yet that says no, as I said, mourn it. Understand that, the relationship is never going to be the same again.
It's never going to be the same, yeah.
Yeah, because you were trusting and you were expecting. And only now that you've had the conversation has somebody now told you, actually, there's no future for you.
There's no future, yeah. And that's why you always need that springboard or someone to bounce ideas. And a coach in that sense is very critical. Mm. I want to ask you this. A lot of leaders are technically brilliant, but emotionally disconnected. Mm-hmm. And why is emotional fluency or emotional skills so important in modern leadership?
I think the big one is AI. AI is demanding that we just do what the humans need to do, right?
Which AI can't do, yes.
Yes. But the thing about switching off the emotions, I think business has a lot of language that says it's just business. It's not personal, right?
Yes.
And language is important because we assimilate and we start to understand what can and can't be done in a place based on the things that are said. I mean, you talk about organizational culture.
Yes.
Culture is not what's written on the wall.
Of course.
It's what is said, right? And it is said in a manner that you understand that this is actually not safe, right? So a lot of people then understand that feeling is not safe.
Yeah.
And I also think we haven't really spent enough time being very transparent that everybody feels.
Everyone. And that's why we talk about humanizing the workplace.
Yes.
Because we are first humans and professionals second. So we carry that human nature of ourselves with us in the workplace.
Yes.
But it has to be preserved.
So you're right. So the preservation of the humanity is also an acknowledgement.
Yes.
And especially males, right? Because males like, women feel too much.
Yes.
You're like, no.
Everybody
express.
feels. You express. But
we
all
express
feel.
emotions.
Yes.
But you guys, you temper it down.
Yes.
But I mean, psychology has now been saying whatever you don't express,
Works on
you
you.
keep
Yeah.
in
It's
the
working
body.
on you.
You understand? And then it manifests in different ways.
Different ways.
Uh,
And it can trigger you sometimes.
You understand? So I think that's it, right? You start to understand that business has got no space
Yes.
for expressions of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's healthy ways to express, which is having the conversation and saying what it is that is uncomfortable. So instead of, coming and having a full-blown tantrum here, if I've done the care, the alignment, and I've really spent time, I'll be able to actually come and tell you, this is what has happened. This is how it has made me feel. And this is how I feel we can move forward.
It sounds good. Talking about organizational cultures, and I had a question, and I was thinking about this last night, that do you think organizations unintentionally reward political intelligence as opposed to leadership capabilities? So in other words, because at the top, there's just so much politicking and politics. Do you believe that's what gets rewarded as opposed to actual real leadership capability at the top?
I think yes and no.
Okay.
In two ways. So politics is actually not a dirty word.
Sure.
I think every single individual who's in leadership, well, because what is politics? What politics is engaging on sometimes contentious matters.
Yes, semantics, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think everybody kind of has to have political fluency.
Of course.
Right? But there is also organizations where the culture actually promotes self-serving kind of politics, as opposed to politics where people are engaging and making sure that the solution is better. So when I said no, I'm saying you also need to have to be competent in the political landscape and understand that politics has got value if it is encapsulated in the right way, where you can manage those tensions.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? But then the politics of individuals and of self-promotion, of old boys club or old girls club, that one, rightly so, that's where, a person can be promoted.
It's a big political, it's a big tension, because I'm just thinking, how should leaders navigate systems where merit and politics are colliding? It doesn't, because in an ecosystem, in a business, there's always presence of the two. But how would you say leaders should navigate those two tensions between merits as well as politics? And do you believe they've got the right skills to be able to know how to navigate those tensions?
I think a lot of us don't have the skills, especially if you grew up in what do you call it? A hierarchical. Yeah. And if you're a black girl, you have to learn a lot more, right? Because you are trying to understand how order, right, is good. But order can also be limiting.
Yeah, it could be bureaucratic. Yeah, it could be career limiting.
Yeah, so I think learning that, and it's part and parcel of the whole unlearning, the healing, the wholeness and holiness.
Yes.
You will find some aspects where it's because of, you can call them traumas or things that happened in your childhood that are limiting you from engaging usefully in the tension. Right? Yes. You heal those. The other ones is you need to learn skills. You go and learn those skills.
Yes.
And then the other ones is seeing a higher purpose. That's the transcendent. And if you are able to do that in that tension, I actually heard somebody say today in the morning, the highest form of intelligence is the ability to hold paradox and not want to solve paradox. Because, good and bad exists. Night and day exists. And it's not to say night is wrong and days is good. It's to understand that they work. There's a sweet spot where those two things create, life. So yeah, I think
there's brilliance there.
There's brilliance there. But I think you require a lot more work, self-work, work on understanding individuals, organizations, politics, and
Yes.
for you to be able
You
to
mentioned transcendent African leadership. And what do you think African leaders need the most right now? And I was having a conversation with one of my colleagues on a podcast like this about leadership deficit in Africa. And of course, there's many other factors that make us be in this place. What do you think African leaders need the most right now, and why?
I think we should all write our books, our stories, our memoirs,
Yes.
because writing a book is forcing yourself to reflect on your life,
Your
this
personal
far,
journey, yes.
right? I remember we said your purpose is inherent in who you are. So if you take that time, write your own book. But it also is to understand that whatever you went through is not only about you, it is so that you teach others.
Of course,
you
you
inspire
transfer.
others.
Yes.
That's how you transcend, right? If you write it in a book, somebody can refer to the framework. Okay,
And it's a record of it.
It's a record
It's
of
a
it.
legacy. It's a story
Yes.
that somebody can pick up.
Then you talk about it. We love stories, but I think the stories that we now need to talk about are the stories of how we have actually also created, found time to understand ourselves, found time to lead as we are,
Yeah.
in our authentic selves, embracing our faults and our, our strengths, the things that make us truly human. If Africans write the stories, each African leader does that, shares it with the world, and continue to step on Nyasha's framework and put your own framework that
Yes.
is contextually appropriate.
That is contextualized.
Yeah, like we're building scaffolding, if you can call it like that. But we scaffold from where we are. We start from our own stories, because those stories now, they've encapsulated even European stuff, because we know models, we know business models. I mean,
Yes.
I'm doing a doctorate in business. So
Yes.
I kind of have all that I need as a framework. But I now need to infuse who Nyasha P is. You mentioned about my name.
Sure.
Why I call myself Nyasha P is because my mom's intention
Yes.
was for me to be Nyasha. And she was looking for a name so that I could also belong to my dad's family, right? The girls in his family's names start with a P. So,
okay.
yeah, harnessing that
So she had to look.
intention. You understand? She ended up on, Pamela, but her
Yes.
intention was more about, and I think African
the
leaders
letter.
also need to get
Yes.
there.
Yes.
What is the intention? What's the vision? What's the future of it? Write about it, talk about it, teach others, and have more podcasts like you've done yourself.
Thank you. I think there's power in storytelling.
Yes.
Because it's authentic, it's original, and there's a connection to the human evolution in everybody's story, and it's not fabricated, and it's something that people can connect with. Also, in your book, you talk about courageous leadership.
Yes.
And tell us why this is also important, not only in the African context, just in the context of leadership as a whole.
Look, the courage is because a lot of the times leadership requires you to even get over yourself.
I like that part.
You need to get over yourself, right?
It's not always about you.
It's actually
It's not
transcendence requires that you understand
Yes.
that your lessons or your life is lessons.
Yes.
And it is part of the scaffolding. So the courage is to deviate from what others are doing. The courage is to listen to yourself and understand that maybe you're not in the right space and you move away from that. That requires a lot of courage. We talked about grief. We talked about
Yes,
you having to mourn what you thought was. It is very, very courageous for you to then follow that path. But what I can say, the last year has taught me, if you do follow the path that you are supposed to follow, then people start asking you, how are you doing it? And you say,
Yeah.
I don't know,
And it's okay not to know.
It's okay not to know, but
Yeah.
it is, I guess that's the wonder in it.
Yeah.
They call it a flow state,
Yeah.
where things happen. It seems so effortless,
Yeah.
But remember, it's because you did the work and you had the courage to understand that this is my life path and my purpose.
I like that.
And people resonate
And that's
with
very
that.
personal, and
Yes.
people resonate with that. We're going to come towards the end of our conversation, but I want to ask you this. If there's a listener listening, and maybe following our conversation, and is feeling stuck right now, especially around their professional journeys and careers, and they're exploring pivoting versus pushing themselves into something else, what are the one or two pieces of advice that you would put out there? What are the choices they could be exploring, and how could they come to a quick decisions in terms of whether they leave what they're doing now and pivot to something else, or they just push through?
I think the first things I said, you already have everything. I think
Yes.
just that, you can then just
okay.
a sigh of relief to say, I don't have to look. You don't have to look for anything else, because
Yes.
in terms of what you need, you
Yeah.
already have it, right?
Okay.
But then the next step is harness the insights from what you already have, and that's where
Like that. Yes.
that's where
Harness what's already there.
what's already there.
Okay.
That is where I guess an expert, a coach, can
Yes.
become more important. Look, you can do introspection with
course.
yourself again and again, but sometimes you need a mirror, or you need a different perspective, a different worldview. And coaches are trained in order to be able to spark, that different thinking. So it's requiring you to change your mindset and to understand you already have all you need to take. It's just about reflecting on what has been, so that you can take the jewels from there, and then you can.
That's that's a big piece of wisdom that I
Thank
like
you.
it. I'll use it myself. If you had to leave leaders that are listening to our conversation with one uncomfortable truth about leadership and career progression, what would that be?
It's not about you.
Yeah, I like
It
it.
is not about you.
not about you.
But you are the important first step.
It's
Or
about
rather, you are
legacy
the
building.
cog in the wheel. Like
Cog in the-
you,
yes.
like you are the one who's going to take us to our next as people, right? As in Africa or in South Africa, because we need you to do the work that you must do, so that we can also do the work that we need to do. You talked about a cake.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So
The cake
if
of
one
life.
piece of the cake is missing, it's not a full cake.
Absolutely.
You understand?
Yes.
So, yeah, it's not about you, but you are important.
Sometimes I talk about stewardship, leaving the place better than you found it.
Yes.
And it's not just about legacy building, but sometimes I ask the leaders I coach, once you're gone,
Yeah.
what will people say about your contribution and how you changed this place? Because you're not going to be there forever. So what would your legacy be once you have left this place? And isn't this the conversation that we'll be having more and more with leaders? Because sometimes they get to a place where they just feel too comfortable, and they forget that leadership also is about building others to take over.
You cannot be comfortable if you're carrying,
Yeah.
if you understand the sense of responsibility.
Yes.
I think we've got examples of Martin Luther King, who was
Yes.
changing a different thing. I think we now need the Martin Luther Kings of business.
Different leaders now.
You understand? The ones that understand that maybe they may not see the changes or the impact,
Yes.
but then it will be spoken of years, generations to come.
Like it.
And if you focus there, that's long into the future, you will also start to see, you will start to experience the sense of pride, the sense of purposefulness. And sometimes that's enough.
That's all it is.
Sometimes it is.
One last thing. I'm passionate about parenting, and I'm passionate about fatherhood specifically,
Yes.
and raising kids and raising boys that are going to become responsible men. Through our other podcast series, we talk about building bridges between fathers and their kids, and you're raising two young souls, and I just wonder how you find time to create meaningful balance between your work, family life, and being a mother. Tell us a little bit about that before we close.
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest privilege I have is my husband fathers
Sure.
his children very well.
That's
So
amazing.
that helps, right? But I've also had to learn what motherhood is. Right?
Yes.
So I grew up with a single mother.
Sure.
And I think in my healing journey, I found aspects of my young self who wanted my mother to be more present. I understood she had to work more, but I also wanted, when you fall and you get a cut, say, oh, right? We need that. It feeds us. So how I've now understood what my role is when I am present, I'm 100% present.
I like that.
And I've curated activities
Yes.
which are just about my sons and I.
Wow.
So we have movie night. And in movie night, I love wine. I even have got plastic wine
Sure.
glasses for them. They pour their juice in there. We sit. We don't even go to a movie house. We sit on our own couch,
Right at
on
home.
pillows, and
That's intentional parenting.
that's intentional parenting.
like
And
it.
what it does is I can only sit for 10 minutes. And then if I say, oh, I need to go and work, they'll say, bye, mommy, see you tomorrow, right? Because I've really plowed into them. I've told them
And
that
have
you matter.
invested in that relationship.
So that's how I have created capacity to do work.
Because now that you're doing also work that's more flexible, you are more intentional and deliberate about how you create space
Yes.
for time for you and your boys.
And it's also about having fun, right? I think
That's
kids,
part of it.
if you're reading a book to them, be animated and that, it hits all the senses. And they enjoy that a little more than, okay, it's bedtime.
Yes.
So I think being fully present and really harnessing, the energy and the fun
I like it. Yes.
means that you can do 15 minutes and they'll leave you for the rest of your day to do your work.
That's beautiful. I want to learn from you because my kids are big now, but parenting is a full-time job and it's a continuous thing. And in our other network, we talk a lot about intentional parenting, and hopefully we can invite you again
Definitely.
on the Sunday Dads podcast and then you share your thoughts. By the way, you were talking to me that there is a bigger version of this book. Is this available right now, or are you wanting to release a bigger version, and where do people find this copy?
So this book, the current version is actually, you can get it on Amazon.
Amazon, okay.
Amazon as a Kindle version or a paperback.
And a paperback.
Or you can also reach out to me and I can make arrangements for a physical copy.
A physical copy. And how do people find you? On social channels? Is it Pivot or Push Through, or is it Nyasha P? How do you go by?
Yeah, so we building a website. It's not yet ready. It's
Okay.
Pivot or Push Through, and it will be about the book. It will have some free tools that people can use.
Yes, I like the exercises.
And master classes.
Yes,
and
yes. And exercises, yes.
Yeah. So, but in terms of if you want to know more about me,
Yes,
it's nyashap.com. That's my website.
Yes.
And on Instagram, on LinkedIn, it's Nyasha P. Mapolisa.
Yeah.
I do present a lot of content that's relatable, that's relevant. So follow me on all the channels and let's engage. I absolutely enjoy having conversations.
I like your work on LinkedIn, and I enjoy reading your articles and your posts, and I wish you well, and we're going to have another conversation soon.
Don't disappoint the listeners, yeah? You promised.
It's going to happen.
He promised. All right.
Thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.
I've really enjoyed this.
And did you? We're going to have another one.
Yes.
Great. Thank you.